Hello, everybody. I am Mr. Gaming Guitarist, and so I have a story to. Well, it's not really a story, but it's about a story about how a certain death helped me slowly regain my passion for music. So on April 21st, Prince passed away, and at that time I didn't know how to feel, because I never really listened to Prince before. Like, I knew a few songs from him, but let's just say I was nowhere near as familiar with Prince as I was with, say, Michael Jackson. And it really says something about Prince when he was the only guy that is so talented. Like, he's the only guy that could that could even be in the same league as Michael Jackson, and that's what it looked like. So, but a few months ago, I rediscovered my dad's vinyl collection. I discovered it, and he has lots of vinyl records, from the 50s all the way to the 80s. And he had this. He had an original copy of Purple Rain. Yeah, he had a... Yeah, so right here he has an original copy of Purple Rain on vinyl. And this was the first Prince album I ever heard, and this was, I believe, back from October last year. And I heard this, and my mind was blown, because at first, all I ever heard of Prince was, the only songs I ever heard from Prince was like Kiss, and was Kiss, When Doves Cry, and Little Red Corvette. Those are the only songs from Prince I knew before listening to Purple Rain. And so when I first turned it on, when I first put the album on, and I heard this roaring, awesome Telecaster on Let's Go Crazy, I said, whoa, I was not expecting to hear this at all. And from then on, The Beautiful Ones, I Would Die For You, Computer Blue, Darling Nikki, When Doves Cry, after... I had the album with me, but anyways, you get the drill. You get the idea. I just loved everything I heard from it, because it felt more in line with what I liked, more in line with the stuff I listened to growing up as a coming of age, because, when I was younger, all I did was listen to pop music. And as I got older, I started to listen to I started to become more passionate about rock music. So Prince's death, I didn't know how to feel. And then I started listening to the rest of his discography, and it shows just how truly prolific of an artist he was. I mean, he constantly changed his style, constantly kept on taking risks, and no matter how much he tried to change. You could always still tell it was him, and you would think because he kept changing and because he never stayed exactly the same, that his audience would just it would be alienating his audience. But the real truth is, he never lost his. At least it appears he never lost his audience. And to be able to do that, you have to be legendary, and that is exactly what he was. So I'm sorry if I'm rambling too on, but this is the first time on camera I've been able to talk about Prince's music, and that's the only music I've heard was just Prince. That's because before this, all I ever heard was the Purple Rain album. I never heard anything else from Prince. Then I started listening to 1999, For You, Prince, his second album, and then Dirty Mind, and Controversy, and Sign of the Times, and Parade. What else did he make? There was one in between I'm missing. Around the World in a Day. Just, my mind is blown at the man's talent. But however, when I started listening to Prince, the one thing I loved, the one era of Prince I liked the most, more than anything else, was Prince and the Revolution. Because I don't know, there's just something magical about Prince and the Revolution. When they played together, it's just, there's some spark, some magic that could never be recreated. It just sounds extra special. And that's just me, you know. Of course, music is extremely subjective. We all have our own opinions on things, and this is what I feel about Prince. I feel like, in my opinion, from what I've heard of his discography so far, I love the era of him with the Revolution the most. And so that's when I found out that Wendy Melvoin and Lisa Coleman, Prince's guitarist and keyboard player from the Revolution. So after the Revolution got disbanded, after '86, after Parade, I found out that Wendy and Lisa had their own solo albums, or they started their own group together, and I thought, what do they sound like without Prince? And so I started listening to that, and my mind was blown yet again, because I also, on their own music, I like them a lot too. Honeymoon Express, Sideshow, Waterfall, The Life, Song About, Blues Away, Are You My Baby, what else? Fruit at the Bottom, Always in My Dreams, God, I keep forgetting. What else is in there? They have a lot of great stuff. And so I heard, there's too many to count, too many good songs to count. So I heard their first two albums were '87 and '89, and those were with Sony Music. And then I found out their third album, Eroica, was with Virgin Records, and that was the only album they made with Virgin Records. And after that, they went completely independent, and that's when it felt like they really changed up their sound. And in my opinion, they started to sound way more alternative. Like when I heard God, my memory is betraying me. What was it? When I heard Girl Brothers, that album, for the first time, there was a lot of acoustic guitars, a lot of open tunings, and I thought, man, they've really changed, because that was a long time. Like, I know they did the soundtrack to Toys, that Robin Williams movie, but other than like official studio albums, they did not release a studio album between Eroica and Girl Brothers. So, and in that Girl Brothers album, it sounds, I don't know, but is it just me, or I seem to get a real Pearl Jam No Code vibe from it. That's what it sounds like to me. Kind of similar-ish, you know, with a bit like Indian music influences. I can hear a little bit in that. But anyways, I'm rambling on for way too much. But I just, and so then later on, that's when I heard what's the name of their album after that? Because they didn't make another album. Because then I heard like they made the soundtrack to. They made a soundtrack to season 1 of Heroes. Season 1, I heard they made the theme song to Nurse Jackie, and so then they didn't come out with another album until 2008, for like another 10 years. It was called White Flags of Winter Chimneys, and yeah, I like that one a lot too. However, now I guess this is going to be a 2-part video. And so anyways, yeah, so pretty much what I found out is just how great and talented Prince was, and that led me to discovering Wendy and Lisa. And so yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to title this video. I think I'm just going to call this my story about discovering Prince, or Prince, listening to Prince made me discover, whatever, something. I'll figure it out later. But anyways, so yeah, this video is going on for way too long, so I'll just cut it here, and then I will go to another part. Make another video talking to the point of this, which is it's very hard to find Eroica, their 3rd album. Lots of people say Eroica is the best Wendy and Lisa album, and I couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't on Spotify, it's not on excuse me. Had a hiccup there. I can't find Eroica on Spotify, Tidal, which is where I discovered the rest of their albums in Prince's discography. I didn't find it anywhere on any of the streaming stations, and I couldn't find it on iTunes. So I thought, man, how am I going to buy this? So, find out the rest of the story on... just find out the rest of the story in part 2. So I'll see you there.